Hello everyone. Everybody today is talking about the Farm Bills 2020. Very few of them know what these three pieces of legislations are. I bring to you the video discussing the key changes and concerns which arise from the Farm Bills 2020. Now, there were three bills which were introduced. The first bill talks about contract farming, the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill. The second bill talks about how the farmers are going to sell their produce, whether it would be within the mandis, whether it would be outside the mandis, within the state limits, throughout the country, etc. The third one is Essential Commodities Amendment Bill. This talks about the way the state is going to regulate or deregulate the essential commodities. Now, the first bill, or the contract farming bill as it is popularly called, talks about the existence of a farming agreement between the private players and the farmers. Now, this agreement would be entered into before the crops are grown. So, a farmer and a private player would come together. They would enter into an agreement where they would decide what crop is to be grown, how it is to be grown, what would be the cycle, etc. The minimum tenure of such an agreement would be one crop season or a maximum duration of 5 years. Now, fixation of prices. So, there will be mutually agreed prices between the farmers and the private players. These prices would be captured in the contract itself. Now, a lot of times what happens is that price may be subject to variation. For instance, if in a particular season there's a lot of produce, the price may fall. Now, in order to protect the farmer from such variations, a guaranteed price should be mentioned in the farming agreement. So, if the farmer agrees to sell his produce, for example, at 200 per quintal, and later on, due to market forces, the price falls down to 100, the farmer is still entitled to get rupees 200 as per the agreement. Now, dispute settlement. At the first instance, if there is any dispute between the farmer and the private player, they can approach a conciliation board. If within 30 days this dispute does not get solved, then they are going to approach the office of subdivisional magistrate. An appellate authority, which is presided by a collector or an additional collector, is also there, so that the appeals from the office of subdivisional magistrate can go to this appellate authority. Now, one of the glaring concerns here is that there is no mention of a judicial court. So, whether the parties can approach a court in relation to dispute settlement is still unknown. Now, no recovery can be done from the farmer's agricultural land. Now, this is a very important provision because it clearly forecloses that the private players cannot recover their dues by selling a farmer's agricultural land or by taking over a farmer's agricultural land. So, this law lays down in statute that a farmer's agricultural land would be his own and cannot be taken over by anyone else. Now, the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill 2020. Now, this bill talks about where the trade can take place. Now, there are these small mandis called the APMC mandis, which are state regulated. Now, till now, farmers could go to these mandis and sell their produce. Now, the bill mandates that trade can also take place outside the APMC mandis. Now, also, the farmers can now sell in other states as well. So, these APMC mandis were under state regulation. Now, the farmers can sell their produce in any other state. So, if a farmer is not getting the right price in Bihar, they can go to West Bengal and they can sell it. Now, they can choose to sell in the APMC mandis or to the private players outside the mandis. This means that two options are now created. Earlier, farmers had only one option, that was to sell in APMC mandis. Now they have two options. First one, they can sell in APMC mandis, and second, they can sell to private players outside the mandis. Now, there's something called minimum support price, or MSP, which you all must be hearing a lot right now. Now, minimum support price is the price at which the government buys the cereals or the grains from the farmers. Now, this minimum support price is typically available in the APMC mandis, where the government would come. They would pay the minimum support price to the farmers and they would buy all the grains from them. Now, this MSP is something which protects the farmers from any reduction in the price. It ensures them a minimum price for their produce. Now, the farmers can also sell in an outside trade area, that is any place of production, collection, aggregation, etc. So now a farmer can also sell at a farm gate. A farmer can sell directly from his farm. He doesn't have to incur transportation costs in going to a mandi. Now, electronic trading of farm produce. This is also allowed. Now, earlier there was a platform called eNAM, which was the government regulated online platform where similar trading could be done. The government has clarified that that would also continue, whereas private players can also set up electronic trading platforms wherein farm produce can be online bought and sold. Now, Essential Commodities Amendment Bill. Earlier, a lot of essential commodities such as foodstuffs, cereals, etc. were regulated by the state. Now, this bill provides for deregulation of these essential commodities. Now, only under certain extraordinary circumstances, such deregulation can be done. These circumstances are war, famine, extraordinary price rise, natural calamity of grave nature. Similarly, earlier the government could place stock limits and prevent hoarding. Now, these stock limits can only be imposed if there is 100% price rise in the retail price of horticultural produce and 50% price rise in non-perishable agricultural food items. So, the government's power to impose stock limits has been severely curtailed here. Now, this has risen concerns that maybe farmers may resort to hoarding. So, yeah, this is something which the government needs to address, that practically how would this be implemented? Now, what are the concerns over the farm bills? Now, as I talked about MSP in the earlier slide, many people are worried that because now there are two options, the buyers may want to prefer a direct route and approach the farmers directly. This is going to lead to the dwindling of the monopoly of the APMC or the mandi. This may lead to gradual phasing out of the APMC and consequently the phasing out of minimum support price. Now, the minimum support price is the price at which government buys crops from the farmers. It's notified at different rates for different crops. It's an administrative and policy exercise, and there is no law right now which mandates the government to announce a minimum support price. So a minimum support price is not a right, but an administrative exercise carried out by the government. Another thing which is raising eyebrows is unequal bargaining power. Now, a farmer and a corporate are definitely not at the same level. What if the corporate, owing to their advantageous position, compels the farmer to enter into a contract with unfair terms? Now, one possible solution for this, which is also mentioned in the Act, is a model farming agreement should be promulgated by the government, and it should be said that terms should not be less fair than the terms mentioned in the model farming agreement. This way, maybe this problem can be addressed. Now, again, dwindling monopoly of APMCs, as we talked about, that buyers may want to directly approach farmers, and this may lead to gradual phasing out of APMCs. Now, small farmers may be at a disadvantage. Now, the corporates may want to buy in bulk. If they want to buy in bulk, they would go to the bigger farmers with mass producing facilities. What about the small farmers? Small farmers may be left in lurch if, due to this huge shift of buyers towards a direct approach, the APMCs are phased out. So the small farmers would not be approached by the corporates directly, and the APMCs where they sold their produce may also get phased out. That's also a concern which is being raised. What needs to be seen now is what comes out of the discussions and what are the possible clarifications which are furnished. All in all, hopefully this matter gets resolved quickly, and it's an effective law. Hopefully the creases are ironed out. Thank you. Have a nice day.